Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about angels, entities. We're going to be talking about things like starseeds, Atlantis. We're going to be talking about all of these things that seem like they're outside of us. They seem like they're others. Some people claim to talk to Jesus. Some people claim to talk to Hindu gods. Some people claim to talk to goddesses and gods. So we're going to be talking about all of these different things where we have or have had experiences with what seems like entities that are outside of us or some sort of guiding feature within our lives. So this could also be someone that's passed on, a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, someone that we feel their presence around us and we somehow feel them guiding us or giving us messages. Some people just call this simply your guardian angel. And so they see that they have some sort of energy that is somehow supporting them and helping them in these times when they need it the most. So what is this energy and how can it be in terms of non-duality? How can it be that there are other things outside of ourselves that could be doing this for us if there is just what is? Well, it's just like anything else. If you really look at your life and exterior life right now, if we just look through your eyes, there's duality everywhere. This is duality. So it's going to appear everywhere. Now, this is just the play of life, the way that things appear and happen for us to have these experiences that, well, our God mind so really wants to have. It really wants to experience infinity. So it has to separate itself in order to do so because there's no one else. And so this is just the way that things function. But a lot of people, especially in the non-dual community, get a little bit confused when all of a sudden they have an angel appear, or all of a sudden someone shows them something or tells them a story about how they had a near-death experience and met Jesus. And so they can't somehow keep those two thoughts, holding those two thoughts at the same time. Two truths can be true at the same time. So while someone could have really had that near-death experience and met Jesus in their near-death experience, that truth is true, while the same truth is true that there is the absolute truth of really there is nothing happening here and everything is coming from the same singularity. So these two truths can be held in the same way. Why? Because they're being held currently. As you can see, you very much believe that your reality is real. For the longest time, you probably didn't question it. You haven't really ever felt that this reality wasn't real. It's always been real to you. And then maybe you've had a glimpse. Maybe you came to non-duality in some way or another, and now you're seeing a different side of things, of how things could be really this other way. And even though that is seen or experienced through an awakening, that truth can be held with what is here. And that is what I talk about in my channel, is really kind of living your life in a practical way, in a way that feels aligned to your heart, while still recognizing the truth of reality. Because the truth of reality really only benefits you and supports you in allowing you to relax into your own creation. So that's what we're talking about here today. I have my dog coming up to me. I have Blue down here. And so I hope he doesn't knock the camera down or anything, but this is interesting, you know, him coming up to me, and he does this quite often while I'm filming or doing things outside. He really is a very, social dog. So he'll do this, he'll come up to me or whoever is outside. And a lot of times, you'll notice that animals do this to get your attention about something. They want to sometimes distract you from something that's happening. They're trying to kind of shift energies. And sometimes, or you might be sad and you notice all of a sudden your animals start coming, your cat or your dog wants to lay with you, all of a sudden starts acting up, starts barking, wants or needs something when you're sad or having a moment. It's actually because they're very intuitive. They're in tune with what you are because they are you. And so they love you so much, they're trying to shift that energy for you. So they do something. They do something to move energy. And to do that, they have their ways. And so that's one way that a dog or an animal is like one of these things that seems exterior to us, like some sort of entity or something that's giving us a message, guiding us, or helping us move through something. Animals are well known to do this. I've talked about, the saying, a little bird told me. Lots of times, you'll hear in stories and fairy tales, these little birds that come down and, the person will have to chase after the bird, or the bird will land on this and that, and it seems like the bird is leading you somewhere or telling you something or showing you something. Animals are known to do this, to be messengers for you throughout your path, throughout this time. And the more that your heart is open, the more that you're in your intuition, the more that you'll recognize these messages. You'll be in tune with everything. That's the oneness that you experience. When you're in tune with oneness, everything around you is communicating. Everything around you is supporting you. Everything around you has an intelligence that really, like I say, is really just supporting you. Now, how can this be? Let's get back to non-duality. Well, everything really is you. Even those outside appearances, even the dog that just came up to me is me. Even an angel, an entity, an alien is me. And so prior to my awakening, I had experiences with angels and all of these things. Many people don't have these experiences from what I understand, but I've always had them. I've had them very early on as a child, and I've had them into adulthood, and I still have them now, even after my non-dual awakening. And it doesn't really faze me, and it doesn't really change what reality is. They are just now my friends. I recognize that these are just parts of me, aspects and fragmented parts of me that work with me to support me, to guide me, to kind of do what the dog did, shift energies, get my attention looking a different way if it needs to be. And all of these things are just me. So early on as a child, we can just go into some story times because I know a lot of people love hearing these sorts of stories. So as a child, early on, I like to kind of explore, go outside and just go into nature or walk around, and you know, there was alleys and just different little spots where, you know, I could kind of hang out, kind of hidden and walking around. And I did that as a child. And when I would do these things, a lot of times I would have experiences where I don't know if they were really real, what was happening, but what is real really, right? So we can only really say it was real. But there was a house next door, and I'd go explore that one, and I would see all kinds of shadows. And I really felt that those were ghosts, that they were really bodies, that they were really people that had passed on. And I would go look through the windows, and I would see them walk by and move. So that was my first experience with something like that. That actually did evoke kind of like this little bit of a scary feeling, but a little bit of an excitement as well. So I would go tell my friends, and we'd go look. So another time I was just, you know, one of the things I would do was look for odd items outside, like cans, trash, things like that to make items out of. I was very crafty. So when I was looking for something, I had found a can and there was some bushes and things. And so I was looking behind there. All of a sudden, I see this bright blue fairy. And it was right there, and I was just mesmerized looking at it. It was straightforward, just looking at me. And as I turned away for just 1 second, then it disappeared. But it was something that I will never forget because I've never seen anything like it before. And so that was my other experience that was just kind of unusual, but it was very magical. So the feeling when I saw that fairy was magic is real. And so that kind of opened that opening for me, that I knew there's more than what people say. Even these creatures and things that people say that aren't real can be. So it kind of led for that opening for me. Later on in life, I would always experience this feeling of that my grandmother was with me, that I felt her energy around me. I never did see her as a form, as something that I could see or really hear, but I always felt her energy and I felt her messages. And so they weren't like an auditory message, but they were like a message that was very clear of what I had to do or needed to do. And so what I noticed about the energy that was my grandmother is that it would appear in times of distress when I was having a hard time. So that energy would appear and guide me and tell me what to do in that time. And I was very clear in my mind that that was my grandmother for some reason, but the voice or the feeling of it never did tell me that. I just knew that. And so I've always had that energy with me till this day. That energy has never left me. And so that energy was a very helpful energy, like I say. It really helped me a lot throughout my life, and it continues to do so. So it kind of guides me to different things. So the next thing that happened was I was having kind of one of these hard times, and I really felt that my grandmother was with me. I was getting ready to take a bath. I was in my bathroom. And so I felt this energy speaking to me about something that I needed to do. And I felt that my grandmother was there. Well, As I look and turn around in the bathroom, I wasn't expecting to see anything, because when I've ever felt my grandmother's energy, she's never actually been there in a physical form. Well, I turn, and all of a sudden I see an angel that's taller than the ceilings. It's huge, like a huge, huge angel. I was tiny compared to it. And the angel didn't really speak any words, but again, I could sense what was happening. And so the angel led me back to peace, basically. And so I took a bath, and it was basically a bath where the water felt like liquid peace. And so this just kind of came over me, and it was amazing. So, but that time I had actually seen the angel. Okay. And so after that, I had my twin flame relationship. And when I had my twin flame relationship, that was here in the physical. Well, he died and passed on. If you're not familiar with that story, I have written a short book about it, and I have a story time if you'd like to watch. So when he passed on, what happened was it only took maybe a couple days that he came in, and it wasn't when he passed on, it was actually when I had found out that he passed, because I didn't find out that he passed until a little while later. But anyhow, when I found out that he had passed on, a couple days later, after being in my grief so bad, he came to me in a voice, and he said that it was him. This time it was different. It was his voice. He said it was him. He had a very strong personality, and his personality completely came through. And he told me exactly what happened the day that he died and why that happened. He explained everything in a way I could understand it. And he never has left me since that day. Basically, he can come in as needed. And all of these things, if for some reason I don't want that energy, or I don't want any help or information, I just don't have my energy or attention on it, and it goes away. If I need it, I just call on it, and it shows up in a second. And so when that voice came through, and that's part of the awakening that I had, it was very confusing to me, because now I had the voice of my twin flame, my grandmother, and what seemed like God. And I described this in my book. And so all of a sudden there was this awakening to the fact that all of these were actually the same, and there was no difference, and it was just some sort of internal knowing. And that's when the whole awakening really happened. And so since then, it's been quite interesting. Since my awakening, even though I awakened to the fact that there is nothing, and I don't exist, and nothing else exists, even though there's that understanding, everything is within my reality now. I am truly living in the moment, meaning that all things exist here and now, and they truly do. You can call upon them. So if for some reason you feel you like to call upon an angel will be here and now. You need your grandmother, you can call on your grandmother, and she can be here and now. Everything is here and now. So that was a very huge insight. But there is a problem here, and actually this is coming from a viewer question asking about this whole thing about angels. A lot of people can limit themselves or lose themselves when they have communication and these experiences with angels, aliens. Some people get involved in these things where they realize that they had a lineage with something called like star seeds or Arcturians, and just different things like that, where they're like different civilizations and things. So a lot of people can get lost in these things, even with like channeling someone that was in their lineage, or bringing someone forward that was in their lineage. They begin to get attached to that something, that there's something they have to do there, or there's something that, you know, they're on a mission. And so while these stories are kind of fun and interesting, if you like it, go ahead and play in it. It will certainly be interesting. But there is just a thing to keep in mind here. They're just that. They're stories. There's nothing more than that. They're actually not real. Okay, so all these aspects of yourself, whether it's an alien you're communicating with, you're really only communicating with yourself. Everything is like that. So they may be appearing in that form because this is infinity, and it's all wanting to appear and exist in whichever form it wants. The formless becomes the form here. Anything, imagination creates that. So basically, this is what I talk about in my videos that I used to make about manifestation. This is all what you're seeing here. This reality is all the mind of God, just being manifested into what appears to be reality. Okay, and so you're doing that. That is the imagination that we're talking about. You are creating that through your mind, through your thoughts, through your beliefs. What you truly believe in your heart, what you align to, is kind of your communicator to everything. It kind of directs your way. So that's why you want to get your heart in tune with what you truly are and start living from that space of truth. So getting back to angels and all of these things. So many people ask, how is it possible that non-duality could be true, but yet I had this near-death experience where I saw Jesus. Jesus, or anything else that you see in a near-death experience, is again just a different aspect of yourself. It's a mirror of yourself. So everything you're seeing, no matter what, is going to be just an aspect of yourself. But where people get lost is where if they have that realization and now they truly believe that that is all there is. Okay? So that is not all there is. That is one avenue, one way in infinity that that us humans and that we experience this feeling of God, of Christ consciousness, of freedom, is through Jesus. So that's one way to go. But of course, there's more to that. The teachings are a little different. So we're an expanded view here. The truth of reality is not that we are just limited into this one religion. I'm sure many of you, like myself, as a child, wondered many times over and over again, how is it possible that in Christianity it says that you can only get to God through Jesus, and so that means the rest of the world is going to hell? And so I would ask my parents this, and I would ponder this, and I would ask God this: how is it that possible? I had friends that weren't Christians. I had friends that were of different cultures, and they just didn't have the same life experiences I did. They were born and raised into a different religion. So that always really bothered me. And so this is kind of that answer. You can go that way, but that is not the only way. And there's many ways up the mountain. There is many ways to experience God. As a matter of fact, many people also wondered, how is it possible that someone my first husband was an atheist and he believed in science, basically. How is it possible that someone could not believe in God? Believe it or not, science is God as well. Everything is God, and you can experience God in a way that it is just science, but it is God. So believe it or not, God is in everything. You can't miss this. So when I came to that realization, that really opened up even more to me as far as these insights of why is there all these appearances of, let's say, these Hindu gods or Jesus or, Buddha. These are just all kind of these different characters that appear here to show us love, to be those beacons of love, to shape and transform and move those energies, just like my dog Blue did when he came to have me pet him. He was moving some sort of energy. And so that's what they do. And when Jesus came, there was a big shift. And if you can really look at things, there was a big shift, wasn't there? There was a big shift in consciousness, and there was a big shift in the way that religions are. Maybe it wasn't the way that some people think it should be, but that's what happened. So anyhow, all of these things that we're experiencing outside of ourselves, they're really just messengers, basically like the synchronicities that happen. They're just there to kind of help us and guide us along our path, to be our cheerleaders, to open up knowledge and information that's already actually within us. A lot of people get lost in this whole thing of talking to gods or mediums and using channels to talk to others to get answers. You can do this, but you have to realize that when you're doing this, the only thing that you're really speaking to is yourself and your own divine knowledge. So you can actually just stay in your own power and speak to your own divine higher self within your own mind. And so this is as simple as just thoughts. Like you used to have thoughts, or you have thoughts in your mind and you kind of go back and forth with them. You can do that with your divine higher self. You can talk and have a conversation and get answers that way. It's all one. I know it sounds very separate, very strange, but when you start doing it, it's very natural. And for the most part, most people already all do this. So it's nothing that strange. But all of this is just part of you. You have all the answers. You have everything already within you. And so these aspects of you are coming in a way that's kind of non-threatening, to give you information, to make an impact on you, to really begin to move those energies or move you in a way that's needed. Sometimes you might need a shakeup. You might need a huge angel to appear for you to make a change, for you to relax into peace, because nothing else has been working. So your own higher divine self already knows that, but that's all there is. There's just what's happening. And what's happening in those moments could be that, or could be something else. So we just have to go with the flow, go with reality, go with what's happening. It's all part of us, without losing ourselves or limiting ourselves in stories of that we are an alien, that we're here to save humanity, that we're here to do something or another. We're actually just here to play, because it is all just us. And as soon as we relax into it and have fun, all parts of us begin to do so as well. So the change starts with you. A lot of people ask things like, what can we do about this world? This world is such a mess. This world is so messed up. There's so much division, so much separation, so much hate, so much violence. Well, that's what you're perceiving, but there's a lot more going on there, and there's a lot more that's coming together in that separation. There's actually a lot of unity. And so while we are out there, wanting to change the world, or like some of these people that ask these questions that are really working to change the world, they're activists, they're doing all of this work. It's not in the works where we get change. We actually have to just relax and have faith and go into it. The other part about it is, if we change ourselves, if we work on ourselves, if we introspect and go within, then the whole world changes without. So if we can just see how silly we're being when we're fighting the world, when we're going against it, when we're saying that you're wrong, this is right, and you should do this, and this is the right way, and we don't believe that. When we start judging and pointing fingers and all of these things, we only separate ourselves. And we can feel that within our bodies because we feel disharmony. And so that's our first clue that we're not in alignment with our truth. So what we can do is just relax into it and begin with ourselves and see, where are we becoming separated and in war with each other inside ourselves? Is there something that's happening there? Is there something that needs to be released? Is there something that needs to be relaxed? And so go within. I heard someone say the other day that wanting to change the world, thinking that changing the world is going to somehow change everything for you or make everything better, is like thinking that you're going to go out there and carpet the whole world, rather than just putting on some sandals for a little bit and starting with that. So why don't you start with yourself? Start with yourself. Go within. Go within your heart and see, is there any disharmony? Is there anything that needs to be forgiven? Let go. Are there any judgments that you have about yourself? Is there anything that you are still harboring, secrets, any shame that you still hold for something? Begin to release that. Begin to relax into love, into the reality of what is, because all that is here is you. And so with that, I think we're complete here with what we're talking about. And so I don't have much more to share about aliens, about ghosts, about all of these things. I've personally seen them. So if you want to get the information from anybody that's actually had the experience, it would be myself. I've actually seen them, and I continue to do so. And I don't see them as something separate than myself. I see them as an aspect and kind of like a messenger, a synchronicity that's I've already placed there to help guide me as I need it. And so life is very multidimensional. You'll begin to see as you awaken that this life is more, way more than you have ever imagined. Way more than any movie can ever convey. Way more than any book can ever convey. This is an ever-changing, multifaceted, infinite universe that is ever-changing. It's always changing. Whatever you thought today is not the same tomorrow. The person you are today is not the same tomorrow. The magic that happens, the changes that were one day and now something completely different, will blow your mind. This is not what you think it is. And when you begin to tune into that, you begin to see the beauty of it, and life is magic. So if you like this video and you like this sort of content, give me a thumbs up, share this video with others, and get this information out there. I love you so much. Thanks for watching.